Even basic jobs like screw assembly are fiercely competitive, 50 applicants for 2 spots. Many export-focused electronics factories have scaled back production or shuttered entirely due to plummeting orders, driven by the 245% retaliatory tariffs from the U.S. A 31-year-old migrant worker whose highest qualification is a junior high diploma described his 10-year struggle in Beijing. In his first year, he earned only 1,500 yuan, lived in a shared dorm with 12 people and 1 bathroom, and paid 200 yuan in rent. With so little income, he couldn't afford new clothes or put aside any savings, and after buying a train ticket home for the Lunar New Year, he was left with just 860 yuan. The next year he took a job handing out flyers, relying on perseverance rather than formal education to get by. Over time, his annual earnings climbed to 70,000 yuan, and he now saves 2,000 yuan from each paycheck. He has never spent on nightlife or entertainment. His entire life revolves around work. He admits he isn't driven by money, but he knows that a big house doesn't guarantee shelter when you need it.
Since the beginning of the year, major cities like Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangdong have witnessed soaring unemployment and a cascade of shop closures. In Shanghai, many remain jobless, with some companies slashing staff to the point where only the director remains to maintain minimal survival. Support services like passport processing and permit applications have frozen as business owners lack funds to cover deregistration fees. In Beijing, the population is dwindling. Streets are devoid of renters. Apartments sit vacant, and leasing struggles to keep pace. In once thriving commercial hubs like Guangzhou and Shenzhen, where shops were once packed, business is now stagnant. Rental prices have plummeted, with many stores displaying "for transfer" signs for over 6 months. A delivery driver in Shenzhen shared that the electronics and appliance sector, once teeming with workers, now sees no customers. A similar situation unfolds in Hangzhou, where companies that were once overwhelmed with orders now face plummeting demand despite ample labor. Young workers arrive but find no jobs left to lie flat and wait for death. A recruiter lamented that the first 4 months of the year were so bleak they started questioning life itself. The wave of layoffs disproportionately targets those over 35. A 37-year-old software engineer in Shanghai, unemployed for 6 months after being optimized out of a major corporation, sent hundreds of applications but received only a handful of interview calls. His savings are nearly depleted, pushing him to reckless actions at times. In Guangzhou, a 23-year-old engineering graduate shared that even basic jobs like screw assembly are fiercely competitive, with 50 applicants for 2 spots. Many export-focused electronics factories have scaled back production or shuttered entirely due to plummeting orders, driven by the 245% retaliatory tariffs from the U.S. In Beijing, the Great Wall Hotel, once the capital's first 5-star joint venture hotel, now has rows of empty rooms and faces bankruptcy risks. 90% of 5-star hotels are operating at a loss due to a sharp drop in domestic and international tourists. Major shopping malls and once iconic retail streets are now desolate, replaced by "for rent" and urgent sale signs. Across China, people echo a grim reality. The domestic economy is shrinking, exports are stalling, and unemployment is spreading. A social media post, though unverified, claimed 300 million people are jobless, reflecting the growing wave of pessimism. Freelancers, delivery drivers, and shop workers feel their livelihoods buried under rising costs and trade tariffs. Amid this, many argue that China's strategy of retaliatory tariff hikes against the U.S. has only eroded its competitive edge, driving down prices for agricultural products, fruits, and electronics. Some regions even pay others to take goods away. Farmers are forced to dump dragon fruit and watermelons, while strawberry fields turn into dead land. China's economic woes have eroded consumer spending power. Social media is rife with videos of people lamenting the difficulty of saving money in Beijing. A 37-year-old Beipia Hui shared that newcomers should not come to Beijing if they have not yet prepared. He said he had been in the city 7 years, and if not for debts, he would have left this joyless city long ago. Working there does not pay well, as one can earn 6,000 to 8,000 yuan a month, but after living expenses only take home around 2,000. He said he would rather take any job back home near family and friends for a simpler, happier life. He added that Beijing is harsh because people earn 8,000 yuan but do work worth 20,000, getting squeezed by bosses. If you do not want the job, someone else will, since many cannot find work there. A 31-year-old Beipiao junior high graduate recounted a decade in Beijing, saying that during his first year he earned 1,500 yuan, sharing a dorm with 12 people and one bathroom for 200 yuan. He could not afford clothes and saved nothing. After buying a New Year's ticket home, he had 860 yuan left. The next year he switched jobs, handing out flyers to find clients. With no education, he relied on grit and now earns 70,000 yuan a year, saving 2,000 each paycheck. He said he has never partied because work is his life and that he does not love money, but knows someone else's big house is not his own umbrella. A graduate of Beijing Film Academy after 7 years in the city said that he arrived with 4,000 yuan renting a shack for 900 yuan. After rent, he had 3,000 left. He applied to 50 film crews in 20 days, got no callbacks, and was down to 360 yuan with rent due. He was desperate, as nothing matched his school dreams, until he landed a role as Lu Yixian's brother, which saved him. He took more roles, saved some money, but the 2019 pandemic killed his acting gigs. His last project was The Wind Rises in Luoyang. He burned through his savings and after his father passed during the pandemic, became his family's sole breadwinner. He could not sit idle, so he switched to live streaming, working days filming shorts at night and doing weekend side gigs. 3 years later, he cleared his debts and saved 6 figures, but his dreams felt further away than ever. A delivery worker born in the 1990s, Dong, described his 7 years as a Beipiao, explaining that finding a place to live was his first hurdle. He has moved countless times, each one exhausting, living in a basement 3rd floor next to a parking garage. Winters were bearable, but summers were unbearable, even with 2 fans. After a year, his health could not take it. Good locations are pricey, cheap ones are far, making moving just part of life there. He said surviving in Beijing is hard as he wants a bigger place, a studio, but is broke. Yesterday he worked an extra hour, today until 10 p.m. Then his roommates said they are not renewing the lease. He has been in that place 3 years and his belongings are mountainous. The thought of moving, finding a new place and new roommates is overwhelming. He added that he rents a 3-square-meter room because it is cheap. People say it is unlivable, but which Beipiao from a poor family did not start in a basement share house. He keeps expenses to a few hundred yuan, but life is tough, and only when you are on your own do you truly understand the cost of living. He said that a kid from a poor family can work hard in Beijing to give their family a normal life, and that he believes he can and encourages others to keep going. He cautioned not to buy into online inspirational nonsense, calling it a trap. Having slogged in Beijing for 8 years, he shared his experience, saying first that saving money is not shameful, being broke is. He said pretending to be rich when you are not is embarrassing, and that everyone saves penny by penny. When you earn little, be frugal and avoid splurging. Second, he noted that money is earned, not saved, is true but useless. Of course you earn money, but when you are not earning, you must save. He advised not to compare food, clothes, or lifestyle with others, because each person's situation is different, and to match one's desires to their ability. Even Beijing natives struggle, he said, because outsiders might not believe it, but most Beijing families are average, scraping by at subsistence level. If a local looks for a job, they might not get one, since many companies do not hire Beijingers. If the boss is local, they might have a chance, but otherwise being a Beijinger is a strike against you. They will say that Beijingers are lazy, sitting on property with no drive, and that their parents have pensions, so they do not need to work. Those jobs instead go to Beipiao who rent, need to eat, and are willing to work overtime and endure hardship. Many companies there do not hire locals. The economic slump, compounded by global trade barriers like 245% tariffs, has hollowed out China's urban centers. Airports stand empty, malls shutter, and Beipiao face a grim choice: to persist in a city that offers little hope or return to hometowns with fewer prospects. The vibrant Beijing of yesteryear feels like a distant memory. Many Chinese exporters have discovered that simply redirecting surplus inventory into the domestic market falls far short of the lifeline they had hoped for. Intensely cutthroat price competition at home has driven profit margins down to nearly nothing, and goods manufactured for export, already saddled with higher production costs, rarely turn a profit when sold domestically. Matters only worsened as U.S.-China tariff rates soared to 245%, effectively sealing off traditional export routes and forcing firms to offload stock in their own backyard. During the recent May Day holiday, more than 20 export-focused manufacturers gathered at a trade fair in Wuya Plaza, Jiangsu, expecting that factory direct pricing would draw crowds. Instead, visitors found a monotonous selection of items, inconsistent quality, and unfamiliar brands, leaving booths conspicuously empty. Shoppers openly complained that even if they purchased the clothes for personal use, the narrow margin would not justify the expense. Despite local officials praising the event as a success in linking reputable producers with consumers, the hoped-for buying frenzy simply did not materialize. In response, many companies have migrated sales online, hosting live stream promotions on platforms such as Douyin and Xiaohongshu. And JD.com even launched a dedicated export goods at shock prices section, with discounts up to 50%. Some merchants have resorted to selling directly at port gates, unloading boxed clothing for just over 100 yuan per piece, a fraction of what those same products fetch overseas. Yet warehousing, shipping, and marketing costs continue to mount, leaving sellers counting losses rather than profits. One upscale fashion exporter lamented that a single 3x15M container holding 30,000 garments must be cleared at a loss since re-export is no longer viable. At Shanghai's Global Harbor Export Fair, booths displayed everything from European-style sandals and winter boots to specialty kitchen linens and branded apparel once made for Disney, H&M, and Gap. Prices ranged from 58 yuan to 239 yuan per pair of shoes, hundreds of dollars worth abroad, but domestic buyers remained hesitant, preferring local brands that offered clearer warranties and after-sales service. Even deep discounts failed to overcome consumer wariness. Veteran traders warned that a wholesale shift to domestic sales is not sustainable. An Anhui entrepreneur with 2 decades in foreign trade revealed losses approaching 1 million yuan due to unexportable inventory and has no intention of committing his entire operation to the local market, where break-even is the best one can hope for. In a May 6 video, a trade commentator known as Old Fan dismissed the strategy as an empty promise, noting that sharply slashed prices simply erode any chance of profit and amount to using factories as photo ops. Legal and regulatory hurdles compound the challenge. Export-grade goods lack China's mandatory 3C certification and must be repackaged and relabeled for domestic shelves, procedures that incur additional time expense and the risk of fines in the tens of thousands of yuan if mishandled. Meanwhile, consumer preferences are shifting toward robust after-sales support. Although the government has funneled hundreds of billions of yuan into special zones designed to absorb redirected export inventory, the results remain underwhelming. Even products once destined for overseas markets, robotic vacuum cleaners, electric toothbrushes, now sell at break-even or at a loss as rising domestic electricity, labor, and logistics costs turn sales into loss-making promotions. As one exporter put it, the more we sell here, the more we lose. Economic indicators paint a bleak backdrop. April's Purchasing Managers Index plunged to 49, its lowest in over a year. New export orders tumbled to 44.7, and China-U.S. container shipping rates have continued their downward slide. In 2024, China shipped $524 billion, $700 million, 0 cents worth of goods to the United States, a testament to the scale of companies now scrambling for alternatives. Yet weak domestic consumption and mounting local government debt threaten to undercut even these extraordinary exports. Analysts caution that without accompanying structural reforms in land policy, banking and corporate governance relying on domestic sales to absorb export oversupply risks exacerbating deflationary pressures and deepening financial losses. In their view, optimistic plans for rescuing excess stock may instead prove to be a double-edged sword, driving exporters further from sustainable profitability.